the webinar on a relevant topic, which is COVID-19 challenges and opportunities that is related with the higher education institution. And we have a very renowned guest speaker and academician, Dr. M. Usman sir, who has come forward to provide his views and share his comments on this topic. So I'm very happy that there are a lot of participants and we are waiting for a few more to join us. Very good morning to one and all. Now I request Sister Ramya, who is a faculty of our department, to welcome the gathering.
Oi, what's up, Babbo?
Sister, please. Ramya, sister. Sister Ramya. Few seconds, please. Sister Ramya, am I audible to you? Sister Ramya, am I audible to you? Ramya, sister. Sister Ramya, am I audible to you?
Bring here.
Ramya,
Why
sister.
should you should come? Get the worst customers.
I apologize for the small technical problem. Sister Ramya, am I audible to you? Sister will come forward and deliver her welcome speech.
Bring
And then
here.
we'll start a session. Ramya,
Why
sister.
should you should come? Get the worst customers.
I apologize for the small technical problem. Sister Ramya, am I audible to you? Sister will come forward and deliver her welcome speech. And then
No, good morning to all and come. మన ఛానల్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలా దీని మామూలుగా లేదా సౌండ్ తగ్గించు దీనికని ఫేస్బుక్ లింక్ బెస్ట్ వాయ్
Join or login.
అమ్మదానికి ఏం పెట్టి మర్చిపోయినా
Krishna Hasna.
Hello? Oh, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sister, you are audible. You are audible. Okay, sister.
Yeah, sorry for the delay. I couldn't get it. A pleasant good morning to everyone present here. Hope all are safe and healthy. With loving greetings, it gives me a great pleasure to extend warm welcome to this one-day national webinar organized by the PG Department of Business Economics from Holy Cross Institute of Management and Technology, Calicut,
മൊബൈൽ
Kerala.
സംബന്ധിച്ച റീചാർജുകൾ സേവനങ്ങൾ കൂടാതെ പരാതികൾ എന്നിവയ്ക്കായി
Today, we will be dealing with the topic COVID-19, opportunities and challenges for higher education institution. As we open up this webinar platform, let me have the privilege of welcoming you all. I extend a cordial and warm welcome to Reverend Sister Lindsay Chayar, the manager of Management and Technology. Of everyone
ഹലോ
of the,
സിസ്റ്ററെ എന്താന്നെങ്കിലും ഇന്ന് വലുതാ
can you hear me?
ആ
Atma miss?
എവിടെ എത്ര മണിക്ക് വരണ്ടേ കിലോ മണി ഓ ആ ഒന്ന് വലുതൊക്കെ തിരിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ വിളിച്ചാ എന്നാ പിന്നെ ഒരു കിലോ മതി വലുത് വലുത്
993942.
മത്തി ഉണ്ടാവില്ല അല്ലേ
3942.
Hello?
Sister, can you please deliver the welcome speech, sister?
Yes, sister. No.
I have started already.
Yes, sister. It's already 10:35. Can you please deliver the welcome speech?
From the beginning?
Yes, sister.
Okay. A pleasant good morning to everyone present here. Hope all are safe and healthy. With loving greetings, it gives me a great pleasure to extend warm welcome to this one-day national webinar organized by the PG Department of Business Economics from Holy Cross Institute of Management and Technology, Calicut. We will be dealing with the topic COVID-19, opportunities and challenges for higher education institutions. As we open up this webinar platform, let me have the privilege of welcoming you. I extend a cordial and warm welcome to Reverend Lindsay Chayar, the manager of Holy Cross Institute of Management and Technology, who is the backbone and inspiration
Holy Cross Hostel.
of this educational center. Welcome, dear sister. I extend warm welcome to the resource person, Dr. M. Usman, Principal of MIC Arts and Science College, Malappuram, and consultant in higher education and research. We are really proud to have you, dear sir, as our speaker for the day. Thank you, sir, for accepting our request and extending yourself to handle this webinar. Welcome, sir. Hearty welcome to all the participants from different parts of the country, our staff and students. You have made yourself available to attend this session. Warm welcome. Once again, on behalf of this institution and department, I welcome you all. I wish you all a pleasant and informative time with us. Over to you, Sister Lindsay, the manager of our institution, to address and motivate us with few valuable words. Thank you.
Hi, friends. A very good morning to one and all. Once again, I welcome to Holy Cross Institute of Management and Technology, Calicut, Kerala. Today, we have the iconic personality, Dr. Usman, consultant in higher education and research. He is taking us on a journey through the platform of webinar. Through his rhetoric, he will help us explore the possibilities that may arise from the challenges of our present time. COVID-19, higher education, national education policy possibly, uncertainties of regular classes, and many other situations. He will help us dive deeply into the current situation. We have participants from educationalists, managers, students, and from different walks of life. I'm sure this webinar will keep us well bound because it is going to be conducted by Dr. Usman. I pray that let's not be caught up with problems, crises, challenges, all such things help us transform our lives for better situations, life for betterment of our fellow men, especially those who are struggling, worried. May the economic department be an opportunity for others to kindle life, to kindle hope in the hearts of people who are struggling. I congratulate our PG Department of Business Economics to help many people to see the possibilities of life that would transform everyone's life. God bless everyone who is participating and benefiting from this possibility of the seminar, and give a hope to the world, which is at the moment a little bit struggling, a little bit uncertainty going through. All shall be well. That's our hope. And I welcome everyone once again and wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. Thank you, Sister Lindsay, and thank you, Sister Remy, for joining the webinar. I'm really happy that we have got around 60 participants for the webinar. A few instructions to be followed. I request all the participants to mute their audio for the smooth streaming of the webinar so that there will be no interruptions in between. The schedule of the program is first Usman sir will be delivering his lecture, and afterwards the platform would be open for question and answer discussion, whereby we'll be providing the feedback link. Those who have only submitted the feedback link is supposed to receive their e-certificates. So please kindly attend the webinar, raise your questions during the time of interaction, and follow the instructions properly. Thank you for cooperating. A brief profile of Dr. M. Usman. Sir Usman sir is a renowned academician and educational administrator with 35 years of experience in teaching and research. He has been the founder director of PM Institute of Civil Service Examination, Farooq College, Calicut, and the founder principal of Amal College, Nirambur. Being a prolific researcher and writer, he is a research guide in 3 universities and has published 2 books and nearly 300 articles, besides completing 3 research projects. He has served as a member of Senate, Academic Council, Inter-University Center, BSG, TSG of RUSA, Chairman of Board of Studies and Board of Education, member of statutory bodies of various autonomous colleges, NGOs and various committees, organizations, and also resource person to UGC, HRDCs, and editor of journals. He has been the president of Kerala Principals Council after completing the tenure of 3 years as its general secretary. He is currently working as a principal of MIC Arts and Science College, ATHANIKKAL, Malappuram, and as a consultant in assessment and accreditation, higher education and research, and the chairman of expert group of social impact assessment of public projects in Malappuram district, LARR Act of 2013. He is also serving as the secretary of the Kerala chapter of Indian Colleges Forum, New Delhi, General Secretary of Kerala Private College Management Association, and General Secretary of Federation of Muslim Colleges. He is a recipient of 2 state level and 2 national level awards for the contribution in higher education. Today's topic for the webinar is COVID-19 Challenges and Opportunities for Higher Education Institution. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, one and all. I hope that I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, respected Sister Lindsay, Honorable Manager of Holy Cross Institution, the coordinator of this program, Professor Archan, Sister Ramya, who made the welcome note, and also some of my beloved friends, esteemed friends are also seen here, like Professor E.P. Mbichikoya, former principal of Farouk College Autonomous and the principal of Safi Institute of Advanced Studies, Dr. Chaco Jose, former director of the Academic Staff College of Calicut University, I think he's here, Dr. C.P. James, my esteemed friend from Thrissur, was a part of the PG Department of Economics of St. Aloysius College in Turut and the renowned author, and many of my friends are here. My respected participants, delegates, my beloved students, and ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Department of Business Economics of Holy Cross Institution, Calicut, for organizing a webinar like this on a very relevant theme. I would also like to extend my thanks to the organizers for inviting me to this program and to share my humble thoughts with you. And I special thanks to Sister Lindsay, the Honorable Manager, who has made a very positive note in this fine morning. Because let us not worry about all the problems and challenges. Let us also think of the opportunities and let us be optimistic about our future and so on. So Sister has actually transmitted a very positive energy to all the delegates by her words, because whenever we have this type of catastrophe, in the past also, we have overcome, and this also we shall overcome. We know we shall overcome all these things in life. Now, I propose to speak you on the opportunities and challenges for higher education institutions during the COVID-19. Of course, I will first speak of the challenges, then only we can think of the opportunities. And my presentation will have three sections basically. The first section, I will discuss the challenges for higher education institutions related to that. And in the second section, I will discuss with the opportunities, a few important opportunities which I think we can make use of, especially the affiliated colleges. And thirdly, we will discuss the strategy for resolving some of these issues. Now, I will have a PowerPoint presentation of nearly 24 slides. And after presenting this, of course, we will have some kind of interaction also if required. Now, let me go to my PowerPoint. Can you see this now?
No, sir, not visible, sir.
Not visible?
Not visible.
Archana Kamath.
Okay, it will come very soon.
പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു ഓപ്ഷൻ തരുന്നു.
അവിടെ അർച്ചന മാം, you give me an option for presentation.
In the share content, can you see share content?
Okay, share content I have taken.
And then you can present, sir.
And you have to give me a priority for that. I think then only it will be open.
Okay, sir.
Okay, wait is come. There.
It's visible now. It's visible.
It's visible. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now it is okay.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. Now, first we will go into a quick fact review on COVID. Yes. Now, this is the data on COVID published yesterday related to COVID. See, in the world, total number of positive cases. Now we have, yesterday we had 2,32,47,804. In today's morning, the figure is more than 2,36 lakh. So within one day, the number has increased from 2,32 lakh to 2,36 lakh. Similarly, in India, the number of positive COVID cases, that is 30,40,492 yesterday. Now, today morning, it is 31,53,436. In Kerala, yesterday, it was 56,298. In today morning, it is 59,504. That means very close to 60,000. The number of COVID death is in the world so far. It is 8,05,617. Today morning, it is again 8,13,419. In India, COVID death yesterday, it was 56,829. Now today, as per today's statistics, it is more than 58,000. In Kerala, today morning, the number of COVID deaths so far, the figure is 234. Yesterday it was 218. The number of people recovered throughout the world is 1,58,2,730 yesterday, and this figure is not available in that way. So you can see the total number of COVID positive cases day by day is increasing. Actually, almost all countries of the world are affected by COVID-19, and also not only the common people, from the heads of states to the common people, everybody is almost equally at a level playing field has been affected by COVID-19. That is a peculiarity. Heads of states, prime ministers, ministers, members of parliaments, MLAs, and all such people, the so-called high-profile people, film stars like Amitabh Bachchan. Yesterday, we had a positive case of the great athlete of the century, Usain Bolt, and so on. So everybody is now living as in a world of, you can say, a chance for COVID at any time in that way. So that toll as well as this positive, this is going on increasing day by day. Actually, according to me, I think that this COVID-19 is not merely a medical issue. This COVID-19 is a pandemic, not merely a medical crisis. It is not merely a health-related issue. It has actually endangered the very existence of man on this globe. That is what I think. Because Almost all countries are affected. All people of all walks of life are affected. And irrespective of the religion, caste, creed, or group, or place where live, are equally affected. It leads to several consequences like economic, social, psychological, and even political consequences are there. And we have seen how it has affected our life so far, because it has affected our life very much. Even most of the religious programs or cultural events or the sports events, all those were either cancelled or they were just held only namesake in that way. For example, this year what happened, we know in the case of Easter, in the case of Bakrid, in the case of the coming Onam, we know what is going to happen. And the Easter, for example, we have seen the Pope was having his own mass by himself alone, without the believers in that way. The Hajj, for example, so Mecca and Medina, holy Mecca and Medina, the Hajj was just performed with only 1,000 people instead of usual 30 lakhs people and so on. The Shabarimala season, we know what happened in this season. And in the case of Olympics, it is still in uncertainty. So almost all activities of human beings, cultural, social, as well as you can say economic and political, all these are being influenced. And the case of many countries like India, the COVID is also a political issue. We know it has been used for what is called some kind of political campaigning. And the United States of America, the present campaign for the vice president post election, we know COVID is also an issue. How the government is making use, or how the government has failed, or how the government has succeeded in just all these things with respect to protecting the people from COVID and all these things. So this has become not merely a simple medical crisis. It has become a social, political, and economic issue. It is in this way. It is in this context that we are discussing the impact of impact of COVID-19 on education. Because if you take the various sectors of the economy, it will take a lot of time. So we are just limiting our discussion to the impact of COVID on educational institutions only. Now we will go to an important UNESCO report for this. UNESCO has estimated that over 1.5 billion students in 165 countries. So in March, UNESCO has revised it. 185 countries are out of education institutions due to COVID-19. So India, with the second largest education system in the world after China, has been very severely affected by COVID pandemic. According to the All India Survey of Higher Education in 2019 of Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, there are 993 universities, 39,931 colleges, and 10,725 standard institutions in the country, with a student enrollment of 37.4 million. And we have nearly 15 lakh teachers also. And there are more than 15 million schools. So all these institutions have been closed down, leading to unprecedented crisis in this sector. So educational sector has been adversely affected, rampantly affected by the crisis when compared to any other sector of the economy or country. Now, some have argued that the educational reforms in India at present, Sister was referring to the new education policy. Of course, if I get time, I will mention that also. It is a live example of how need truly is the mother of invention or reinvention, allowing education institutions to adopt online learning and infusion a virtual study culture and so on. Actually, we have started to making use of virtual study and also making online facilities, etc. So this has been long overdue. So COVID has helped us to shift to this. That is one argument. It has also been argued that the pandemic is steering the sector forward with technical innovations and advancement, because the educational sector is now poised for a technological advancement and making use of new technology for teaching learning process and also knowledge sharing, etc. This is also happening. And some people say that It is the first experiment of this type in India with the education system and leading to a paradigm shift to virtual world, blending classroom learning with online learning. So in the beginning, we thought that all this will be going after some time and we will be able to make use of both offline learning and online learning. But situation is now worsening day by day. All education institutions, whether it is primary schools, high schools, or colleges, or universities, or centers of research, all of them have switched over to the online learning only. And there is no hope for the classroom learning resuming in a near future. This is the present situation. In this context, we think that it is not only very positive, there are several adverse impacts on the educational sector, on institutions, on the students, on parents, and so on at the micro level or at the macro level. See, the experience, I would say, experience of many institutions prove that the initial excitement of students with online learning is giving way to the realization that it is no way substitute for classroom learning. Limitations are felt more in the case of disciplines with a considerable content of practical learning and laboratory experimentation. I think my slide has hanged up. I will just resolve it now. What is happening here? So the initial positive response from students, people, especially students and teachers, were highly excited in the early days for using the technology because of the curiosity and all those things. But now what happens, the initial excitement of the students actually, it is over, and teachers are also finding it very difficult to cope up with technology, just like we people at this moment of time, how we find it difficult to transmit information or convey our ideas with the use of technology in that way. However we prepare, however we just provide the facilities, etc., the online transaction of the ideas, online transaction of these things, it becomes very difficult and so on. This is what is happening on a day-to-day basis in almost all virtual classrooms as well as in almost all institutions in that way. I will come to my slide. Okay. There is a little interruption. Let me see. Assistant is coming. Okay, he will correct it. Okay. So this is what I mentioned. The experience of many institutions prove that the initial excitement of students on online learning, this has almost declined. Now we have a situation where we are more and more realizing the difficulties of that. So in this context, I will be discussing a few important points related to the obstacles to access to education because of the COVID-19 in that way. Let me go to the next slide. Okay. See, first I would like to elaborate the obstacles to access to education and the issue of digital divide. In India, as I mentioned, of the 993 universities, see, 394 universities are in the rural areas, and 60.53% of colleges are also in the rural areas. The majority of them, the students being in the category of first generation learners. So most of our students in these districts, Calicut, Malappuram, etc., most of our students belong to the first generation learners, and our institutions are also rural, and students also hail from rural, and so on. 84% of our schools are situated in rural areas. The digital divide between urban and rural population is very rampant. According to TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, India's rural population, which constitutes 66% of the total population, has internet density of only 25.3%. So of our population, 66% of the population live in the rural areas, and they have only 25.3% of that rural population have access to internet. And for urban population, it is actually 34% in that way. So we see that there is an urban-rural divide with respect to digital divide, with respect to the access to education through these streams. That is one important point that we should remember. Now, this digital divide is reflected by other indicators of access to technology also. See, only 32.26% of the primary schools in the country have electricity. 28% of schools in the rural areas have computers, and 9% have internet connectivity. This is the all India situation. According to the National Sample Survey, NSS, that only 24% of the households in the country have internet. See, this is an official statistics, especially the students of business economics. You please note it. According to National Sample Survey data, only 24% of the households in the country have access to internet. In urban areas, it is 42%, and rural areas only 15%. The rural areas, only 15% of households have internet facilities. Among the poorest people of 20% households, only 2.7 have computers and 8.8% have access to internet. Again, the proportion of households with computers varies from 4.6% in Bihar and 23% in Kerala and 35% in Delhi. So in Bihar, only 4.6% of the households have computers. In Kerala, 23% of the households have computers. In Delhi, 35% of the households have computers in that way. So this is again a rampant case of digital divide. Similarly, it has also been estimated that only 8% of the homes with young members, the age group of 5 to 24 years, have computers with internet connection. So this is again very important data, because 5 to 24 age group is the age group which are the students in the different institutions, schools, higher education institutions, etc. See, at all India level, only 8% of the homes have this internet connectivity or computer with internet connectivity for this group of people who are the students, who are the active students of the country. It may be argued that mobile internet penetration is steadily increasing in the country. Of course, 622 million internet users in 2019. Because by using mobile phone, internet usage is increasing day by day. At the same time, we know the limitation of using mobile phone also in our learning. So people residing in rural areas are still considerably deprived of the latest technology, leading to the denial of online learning. Now, virtual classrooms are not only dependent on e-lectures, but also require online access to e-content and online study material, practice sheet, etc. So we know not merely the online classes are sufficient, because the teacher has several things to do. He has to give material to the people, the students has to have access to these materials, and they have to read it, they have to study it, they have to prepare assignments, etc. Not only online lectures are sufficient, we require other important complementary things of the education of teaching learning process also. But here there is a very difficult situation in the case of many institutions and many departments in the state as well as in their part of country. I will go to the next slide. According to, you might have seen this survey last week, this was in news, national level. The NCERT had conducted a survey of students across India, and they have seen that 27% of the NCERT students do not have online facilities. That is NCERT finding. They had a sample survey among the schools. in different parts of the country. 1/3 of the students find online classes very difficult to follow. Not only they find difficult to get the facilities, but also they find it very difficult to follow also. Especially difficulties are there in the science subjects and science subject with the practicals, and sometimes in the case of subject with the in language subject also, because difficulties are there in teaching languages, the scripts of languages, the pronunciation. You may think that all this can be taught online. It find very difficult, especially in schools and colleges, teaching languages, the subject with the practical content, and so on. So the digital divide is likely to lead to a decline in GER, which is now only 26.3%. Now that is my feeling. GER, gross enrollment ratio, is the number of or the proportion of the people who are enrolled for higher education in the 18-23 age group. That is, who are the real eligible people for higher education. So in India, the GER is only 26.3%. The objective of new education policy is to increase the GER to 50%. So because of this problem of online learning, online access, etc., there is a large rate of dropout from our classrooms. The teachers who are just watching me, you may agree with me, the way in which the students are dropping out from the classes on a day-to-day basis. Because when they are sitting at home and listening to your classes or watching the classes, how they are in interruption and what happens, they immediately drop out and so on. So this may happen after some time, a dropping of the educational system itself. So lack of access to technology for vulnerable groups like SC/STs and other socially backward groups, that will lower their GER from the present rate of 23 to 70% in that way. So there will be a decline in the GER of these groups also. That is my
ലാപ്പിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഐട്യൂൺസ് ഡൗൺലോഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഫോൺ എന്നിട്ട് ഡാറ്റ കേബിൾ കുത്തിയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ അതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് കുത്തി കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വരുമല്ലോ ഐട്യൂൺസിൽ നമ്മളത് സാധനം വരുമല്ലോ.
I request all the participants.
അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ വന്നതെന്ന് ഞങ്ങള് എന്താ പറയാ, അതില് സിങ്ക് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ഓപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. മറ്റേ നമ്മൾ ഫോട്ടോസ് ഞെക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാല് നമ്മൾ ഇതിന്റെ അകത്തുള്ള ഫോട്ടോസ് സിങ്ക് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു ഓപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ അത് ചെയ്തപ്പോ ഇപ്പൊ മൊത്തം ഫോട്ടോസ് സിങ്ക് ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അതില് പിന്നെ എങ്ങനെയാ ചെയ്യണ്ടേ?
ജെൻഡർ ബയസ് ഒക്കെ
നമ്മളെ ഫോണിലുള്ള ഫുൾ ഫോട്ടോസ് കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറിലേക്ക് ഇത് ചെയ്യാനായിരുന്നു. ഫോട്ടോസും വീഡിയോസും മാത്രം മതി.
സോറി ഫോർ ദ ഇന്ററപ്ഷൻ.
പക്ഷെ അതെന്താ പറയാ, അത് കാണിക്കുന്നതിൽ നമ്മൾ ഫുള്ള് ഇത് കാണിക്കൂലല്ലോ ഇടയ്ക്ക്.
In the case of the digital divide, there is another issue which is attracted only attention of only very few people. That is the digital, the gender bias in the digital divide. The gender bias in the digital, I want to mention this. Because on a comparative scale, women were 56% less likely to use internet than men. See, the gender bias in digital divide is of great concern. So I request the students, especially the PG students, to do a project on this thing, especially in your region, the business economics, commerce, management, etc. You can have a project on this particular issue. How the females are disadvantaged with respect to this access to the digital things, digital learning and gadgets, etc. The situation is coming from the mix of economic, social, cultural factors placed against the backdrop of a deeply patriarchal setup of our society. Whether you may agree or disagree with me, but we know our present society is some kind of a patriarchal setup we have. So women, they are not treated at par with men in many cases, especially in households. So what happens? The financial dependence of many women and their lower position in the household, I don't say lower position, their present position in the household reduces the likelihood of female students owning such devices. Because the parents are ready to give a smartphone to the male student, the boy, but they are not so ready to give a smartphone to a girl child. because they fear that it will be misused, something like that. So there is a digital divide among the in the society with respect to the female. The females have been highly biased. There is a great inequity with respect to the access to the these digital things, digital education, etc. So I request the researchers to go deeper into this issue at the micro level. We need the micro level studies related to this at the regional level, at the group level, and so on in that way. This is another important problem that we come across with respect to the divide. Then, another issue, very important, is rising unemployment. See, the pandemic has led to decreasing employment and income, which will affect the higher education in India. The Asian Development Bank, in a recent report, a joint report of Asian Development Bank, International Labour Organization, ILO, there is a joint report by these two agencies. They predict the unemployment rate of India at 32.5% by the end of 2020. This is an alarming figure, because by December 2020, the unemployment rate in India will be more than 32%. That more than 32.5% of the labor force will be unemployed. That much rate will be there. So due to COVID-19 and resultant lockdown, 1.89 crore people in India lost their jobs. There is an agency, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. It is a very famous, most authentic agency which combine these type of information. According to the data of Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, 1.89 crore people of India have lost their jobs during the pandemic. And in July alone, the last July alone, nearly 50 lakh permanent employees, they have lost their jobs. This is the alarming situation of unemployment due to COVID-19. Now I will just discuss a very relevant issue with respect to education institutions, that is with respect to the campus placement and internship. See, institutions like Holy Cross, Calicut, they have a very good track record of campus placement and also employment and startups, etc. So in the case of campus placement and internship, many companies have held their placement process. And already the offer letters have been kept pending. So many companies have kept their offer letters given to the students during the last academic year, because they had a campus interview conducted during the last December, January, etc. And students were selected and they were given offer letters by the agencies or by the organizations. So many companies have kept it pending like that. There are some major companies, of course, which have declared that they will honor the offer letters given to the students or the potential people at a later stage. For example, TCS, a major IT company, Google, Wipro, Capgemini, Tech Mahindra, Accenture, PepsiCo, PayU, Godrej, Hindustan Lever, etc. Such agencies or such organizations, these organizations have declared that they will honor the offer letters at a later stage. Now, they have not given the date for that. See, remember, this is with respect to the offer letters which they gave during the last academic year. Now, we have this year 5-year students also studying. In the case of banking and financial services, tourism, hospitality, retail, logistics, companies have cancelled nearly 65% of the interviews. The scheduled interviews in all these, 65% of the interviews across the country on an average has been cancelled by these important employment providers situation. So campus placement is very seriously affected, adversely affected. Not only that, there is internship, the case of internship also. Because earlier we know our students used to do internship in several organizations, industries, firms, etc. the internship offer is also being. The students who graduated last academic year, that is, I mean, the 1920 academic year, the 1920 academic year, they could not complete their internship because in the case of many courses, the internship is now due, it is yet to complete because the firms are not working and they are closed down. So how can they offer internship in that way? And not only that, this year there is an uncertainty about the campus interview, campus placement, etc. this year. Usually campus interview season is December, April. It is during these 4 or 5 months that companies conduct campus interview starting from December onwards. Now, what is the present academic year situation? The third year students, they have to face the campus interview by December, January, etc. So no companies are coming to the campuses. There is no possibility of coming the companies and offering a campus placement or recruitment drive, etc. So the present season, this year's season for campus placement will be adversely affected. That is one important issue which institutions should take care of in that way. Similarly, the case of internship I already mentioned, many of the internship offers are either extended or cancelled. I personally know many company owners or CEOs or general managers. They tell us the difficulties in honoring their own offer letters for internship or campus placement. So in this context, the appeal made by Dr. V. Ramagopal Babu, Director of Delhi IIT, on placing an internship offer is worth mentioning, please. See, Dr. V. Ramagopal Babu, Director of IIT Delhi, he has made an open appeal to all organizations, all industries, all business houses in the country through his Twitter on placement and internship offers. Ram Gopal Rao is saying that the case of IITs and other premier institutions for campus placement and internship, usually they allow the students to opt for one company. So suppose one student is offered he get an offer from TCS, then that he has to either choose it or not to choose it, either opt for it or not opt for it. Because that is to keep the chances of other students open. The IITs have this practice. So they will not allow all the students to sit for the campus placement of all the organizations. Those students already selected, they will not be permitted to sit for the placement offers of other organizations. This is the practice of most of the premier institutions. So that all the students will get an open chance for the campus placement and internship. So what happened? Many of the students who got this placement and internship, this offer has been either hold or cancelled, etc. So Dr. V. Ramgopal Rao has made an appeal through his Twitter to the business houses and organizations that this fact should be taken into account because if an IIT student or IIT student is offered by TCS or some other Tech Mahindra, something like that he will not get the offer from other places because he is not allowed to sit for the campus recruitment drive of another organization. This is a situation. So this is affecting the chances of students also. So I would say there is a long-term impact of this placement on the parents and students to pay education fees, which will affect the future admission and enrollment in Indian universities. This is important because many of the students, especially in professional education, many students are just studying with the help of loans. They have taken loans, educational loans.
Is talks about meeting in a contact moment where both parties are yes, I mean, a very real sense, personally or literally.
Yeah, there is some disturbance.
And also multiple modalities. Now, there used to be an assumption
I request all participants to
then and
clear
was
video.
inherited by the non-European world. But in fact, one of the aspects of those clinical studies is to show that modernities have been developing in countries around the world, not apart prominent with inheritance of European modernity. Notwithstanding, some of those aspects of modernity.
Yes. See, actually, these type of things also we should take care of. Presentation like this. I mean, now, in the case of internship, I told you the practice of the premier institutions. So what happens, many of the students in our premier institutions, they are subsisting on some educational loans. So they are expecting a repayment immediately after their course, they get a placement, something like that. So the parents are not able to afford education of the children in the premier institutions because they are not getting the placements and so on. So I think there is a danger in this because the enrollment of the universities and colleges will also be adversely affected because of these bleak chances of the placement and so on. This is the third important impact or third important problem that we come across. Now, fourthly, the impact on cross-border movement of students. This is another important issue. So in the universities in countries like Australia, UK, New Zealand and Canada, they are depending on the students' movement from India and China, especially from the Asian countries. And there is a financial risk for these universities, at least for these coming 3 years. Because enrollment in the foreign universities will be very difficult, and also international travel will be difficult, visa procedures are difficult, and so on. So nearly 50 lakh Indian students are there studying abroad now. Sorry, 5 lakh Indian students are studying abroad now, the present year. It is estimated that this will come down to just 30,000 in the September-January session. Because admissions take place in the foreign institutions, foreign universities in 2 sessions, usually in September or in January, 2 sessions will be there. So the number will be coming down from now present 5 lakh to 30,000, near 30,000. Because of the problem related to cross-border movement of the students and so on. In the case of Indian universities, we expect that there will be an increase in the enrollment of students in Indian universities and colleges. So our universities, especially in Kerala, they have already taken into account this and they have decided to increase the number of seats in all courses depending upon the facilities available in the education institutions. For example, in BCom course, the present strength is 60. The university is now ready to increase to 70 in that way. Of course, that will affect the quality of the instructions, the infrastructure facilities being shared by the students and teachers. Several problems will be there. So we are expecting that there will be increased enrollment in the colleges and universities because of the problem with the cross-border movement of the students and so on. So mobility of the students is very much adversely affected, especially to professional courses abroad in that way. Now, nearly 50,000 foreign students are there in India from 164 countries. That is, nearly 50,000 foreign students are studying in India. They are from 164 countries. There will be a decline in this also. In our university region, some of the premier institutions like the college or University of Calicut, there are a large number of foreign students. So there will be a decrease in the number of foreign students also due to the cross-border issue, movement issue. Because we are getting the students from the third world countries and other Asian countries, especially institutions of Kerala in that way. There will be a decline in that also because of this problem. Then this is the fourth issue. Fifthly, we come to the problem with the teaching learning process. As teachers and students and academicians, we come across several day-to-day problems in our teaching learning process in the online mode or COVID. See, firstly, we have a passive learning by the students. As I mentioned in the beginning, initially the students were very much interested in these things. Now they are becoming more and more passive in their learning. because the things are not so interactive. It is very difficult to have an interactive platform with a large number of students. If it is a PG class only with the 10 students or 15 students, it may be easy. So how you can have an interactive teaching in a BCom class with a strength of 60 or 70 students? Or how you can have in your fashion designing class or hotel management class with the 40 students or 50 students, how you can make the class interactive and interesting? Very difficult. So you can find fault with the students being passive. The system is like that. Number two, there are many problems with the sudden shift to online learning. Because in a fine morning, we all found that we are shifting to a new system from the traditional system. And a lot of problems are there because of the sudden shift. Because most of the colleges and universities in Kerala, they started the online classes in June 3rd itself. And in my college, we started on June 3rd. In Holy Cross also, they have started June itself, and the classes are going on. But this sudden shift to the online learning, it was very difficult. The transition phase was very difficult, and for teachers as well as for the students, it was a problem. And this is still we face that problem. Thirdly, the unpreparedness of the teachers. The teachers are not so prepared for the online education because the teachers are trained for classroom teaching. Even though in the case of trained teachers like in schools, etc., they are trained already. But in the case of college teachers or university teachers, they don't have a training for this type of things. So the unpreparedness of the teacher due to training. And to my surprise, the monitoring bodies like universities has never thought of giving a training for teachers in these things. In some parts of the states, some institutions have taken the lead or initiative to give some kind of training to the teachers just to make them familiar with some of these things, some of the packages or knowledge management sharing systems, etc. Actually, the teachers are now self-made teachers because they are not getting any training in that way. That is a very important issue that we face. Similarly, as I mentioned already, the subject with the practicals, we have several physics, chemistry, computer science, etc. So in Holy Cross, I know there are subjects like fashion design, hotel management, tourism management, etc. So you may be finding it very difficult to give practical training to students in this subject. This is very difficult, and students are asking us, parents are asking us, what we will do with the practicals. Because in the syllabus, we have a practical content of, for example, in most of the courses, we have a practical content of 40% to 50%. And some people say that we should reduce the practical content. See, reducing the practical content of the subject, that will reduce the quality of the course, that will reduce the quality of the students, the capability of the students, etc. So this is an important issue, the subject with the practical training and so on. Then another very important problem is with respect to the evaluation of the students. How we evaluate the student, that is, I mean, the continuous evaluation, not the summative evaluation. The case of continuous evaluation in college, what happens? We have a continuous evaluation of the students by the teachers. Because on a day-to-day basis, teachers are evaluating what is the performance of the student in the class and what is his attendance and how he is progressing with his studies. All these are monitored by the teachers. It is on the basis of the continuous assessment CA that ultimately the 20% marks are given to the students. There are also very frequent tests and so on. The evaluation of students has become very difficult. Now here in my college, we have tried with an online examination for the current semester. And of course, there was very positive response. 100% of students attended the exam. But the difficulty is that the effectiveness of the exam, to what extent we are able to test the student or evaluate the students with online examination and so on. So the most important problem that we face is with respect to the continuous assessments. These are some of the important issues, some of the challenges that we are facing due to COVID-19. Now I will go to my second session, second part of the presentation, that is the opportunities. As sister has rightly mentioned, we should also be very optimistic and we should try to see how we can make use of this. So I will just go through these opportunities also. See, one more point I want to mention with respect to the co-curricular activities before going to the opportunities. See, what is happening to the co-curricular activities in the colleges? That is ECLA, extracurricular and leadership activities. So that is the usage in foreign universities. So universities and colleges, campuses are places where students live and live in a very close proximity. The peer group experience is very important. There are also bustling cultural hubs where students are brought together from different regions, different socio-cultural backgrounds, etc. So of course we have some online co-curricular activities. But what is the effectiveness of this online co-curricular activities? So you think of the extension activities, the philanthropic activities, the social outreach activities that we conducted during the last flood last year and year before last year. Now, what is the present status now? Our students are totally out of the field. They are confined to their homes. So last year, we know in Kavalapara, for example, almost all institutions in Kerala, their students were there in Kavalapara doing one kind or other relief activities. So what is the status in Pettimudi in Kerala this year? After a huge landslide there, only the official people and some NGOs who do something there. The entire student community is out of that place. So the social outreach activities of the campuses, that is totally at standstill. The institution community interface is a common feature of the higher education institutions in the rural areas. And the development of the higher education institutions are organically integrated with the development of the neighborhood. This is the practice in Kerala especially. So in Kerala, almost all education institutions, especially higher education institutions, are very closely integrated with their neighborhood. So they have several social outreach activities undertaken. Now, what is our present status? We are not able to do that in that way. So, the extracurricular leadership activities, ECLA, extracurricular leadership activities, the college union, departmental associations, other students, clubs, forums, etc., NSS, NCC, all these activities have been at a standstill. So, these are the 6 important challenges that now I think institutions are facing in a summary form. Now we will come to the opportunities. See, as our sister has rightly mentioned, first I would mention the opportunities for teaching learning process and research process. In the beginning, we said that there is a rise in blended learning. Blended learning means we are having face-to-face learning as well as online learning. But at present, we don't have a face-to-face learning, a synthesis of the face-to-face learning and online learning. That model can emerge because after the COVID-19, education institutions can think of integrating this online learning as a very important part of the curriculum. I think universities now considering it very seriously because the various boards of studies, they can just incorporate at least 20%, 30% content by way of e-learning, which where students can have access to some e-resources and so on. There will be an increase in the blended learning, a synthesis of the face-to learning and online learning. And online learning, once we get the opportunity for that, once we get the access to that, it seems to be very cheap in that way. So that is one important opportunity, one important positivity that we get. Secondly, we have a development of new learning management systems. Learning management systems, LMS, Different learning management systems are now being developed. Learning apps has been developed by companies. And actually there is a competition among the companies and the people for developing new learning management systems and softwares. This is a positive thing. Because when there is a competition, they become very cheap. The end product will become very cheap. Now we have some apps for learning. Different types of apps are there. These apps are very costly for subscription as well as purchase of the apps, installation, use, etc. You have to go on subscribing to that and so on. So the cost effectiveness of the learning management systems will be very favorable to the learners because of the increasing competition with respect to this. This is a very positive thing. Because almost all software companies are now engaged in doing research with respect to developing new learning management solutions in that way. That is an important positive thing. Then thirdly, improvement in the learning material. The learning material used by the teachers, that can be improved and updated very easily in the online learning. The classroom learning, what happens? The teachers may not be updating very much because they think that this is the latest thing that they are having with them. For example, a textbook. They are following a textbook in a management class or an economics class, a textbook which is having an edition of 2018. A 2018 edition book they are following. For example, in the case of a subject like Indian economy or world, let's say world trade, such subjects, etc. Suppose you are following a 2018 edition or 19 edition, you will be obsolete. But in the case of these materials, there is a chance for improvement and revision of this material, not only on a day-to-day basis, I would say a second by second, moment by moment basis, you can update. Because online learning materials can be improved because of that is the importance of the online learning. Similarly, collaborative work. The collaborative work can be promoted. This is again an area which we have not explored so far. The colleges of Kerala, we should have a culture of collaborative work, especially by the teachers. Here, collaboration means not only doing some collaborative research work, even our lectures, for example, now I am speaking to you, you are watching. Even this can be an example of the collaboration. So 2 or 3 institutions can have a collaboration, a cluster. For example, in Calicut region or Ernakulam region or Trivandrum region, a few institutions can form a cluster and they can have a collaboration, academic collaboration for online lecture. Suppose you are having an expert in stock market in your college. Let him speak not only to your student, let him speak to other students of other states, let me say, other institutions and other states. So collaborative work is possible. So this is a very encouraging result of the online learning. We can share all these things. Not only sharing in YouTube or just watching it again, it is actually a live streaming of these things and also online question answer, online discussion and so on. So teachers can increase their collaborative activities, collaborative work, academic activities, not only in research and all those things. More chances are there. So I would appeal the academicians, especially the principals who are heads of institutions, who are listening me, to think of some kind of collaboration with your neighboring institutions, at least in a few selected subjects, where you are very comfortable. Your faculty may be comfortable in a very unique type of subject. So let that faculty engage a session for the students of 2 or 3 institutions so that an academic collaboration culture will be there, and we know in accreditation process or in grading process, etc., this collaboration is very important. It is an important for learner in that way. Then another thing is we have actually an uninterrupted academic calendar. Even though we have several interruptions in technology and online access, etc., our academic calendar is not interrupted. Because usually, now today is August 25th. So starting from June 3rd to August 25th, these 3 months, we know how many strikes, how many hartals, how many bands might have affected us during this academic year, if not for COVID. So academic year is not disrupted. There is a continuous flow of the academic activities in the institutions. Those institutions who were able to start the classes regularly, were able to stream their classes regularly, etc. They have actually a very uninterrupted academic calendar. That is a very great advantage, a positive thing of this thing. Then we have the online sources of research and project. Our students and faculty, they have several online sources for doing the research work, project work, etc. And we are becoming more and more familiar with that. So before this online exercise, actually we were not very much aware. And even if we were aware, we were not looking into the opportunities for that. Now, what are the online opportunities for the research, promotion of research, or doing research, and also for doing project work, etc.? This has increased. So I would say that PG students and teachers, the researchers, their chances has been increased for doing their project work, etc., in a very good manner by the COVID and so on. So these are some of the opportunities for teaching them. Now, I will also mention the opportunities for co-curricular activities. See, as I mentioned, the extension activities, the co-curricular activities, extension, extracurricular and leadership activities, leadership building activities. See, the development of hobbies. See, in the case of students and faculty, the online platforms give a chance for development of hobbies. Because the hobbies which will have creativity, sometimes the hobby may lead to, let us say, some kind of earnings also. For example, the students in Holy Cross, I think, there is fashion designing, there is hotel management, there is travel and tourism. So students of these classes, these streams, they can develop hobbies related to their disciplines. So because they have no access to these online things and they are not familiar with these things and so on, because people are now watching YouTube and all these things. Then also the creative use of social media. Actually, earlier we were using social media only for entertainment. Now social media we are using not only for entertainment, it is now edutainment. For education, we are using it, and we are using for getting knowledge, for interaction, etc., and also for expressing ourselves. Because instead of writing an article in a newspaper, which may have, for example, a readership of, let us say, 1 lakh or 2 lakh maximum. Suppose you just stream a video in YouTube, you may have lakhs and lakhs of viewers and so on. So in that way, creative intervention or interference in the social media, this has been promoted by this. And online competitions. So in my college, every department used to conduct online competitions almost every day. So the colleges can have several online competitions. Now, depending upon the festival, Onam is coming now, Onam festival is coming. So colleges can think of the competitions, online competitions, various online competitions. So Independence Day, we know all the institutions, they had several online competitions, culminating with Independence Day and so on. So new chances are there for online competitions, which are very cheap and I would say which are very efficient and which are very transparent in that way. And without having much wastage of time, resources, etc. This is also possible. Along with that, I would also mention a very important opportunity, which is now open to the students and faculty members. That is with respect to online capacity building courses, Coursera. Perhaps many students and teachers may be familiar with Coursera or MOOC, massive online open courses. Now, MOOC courses are now the fashion of the day. Fashion, I would say, it is the passion of the day, PASSIO. Because the students, along with doing their regular courses in the college, they can enroll for some MOOC courses or online courses, and they can upgrade their skills, and they can get some the graded or accredited certificates, approved certificate by enrolling in the Coursera. See, Coursera is a worldwide online learning platform founded in 2012 by Stanford University's Computer Science Department, Professors Andrew Ng and Alfred Kohler, that offers massive open online courses with a specialization, degrees, professional and master track courses. So you can say from certificate to PhD, they are offering courses in the Coursera mode. Now, of course, there are only limited programs for research, but certificate to masters, there are several programs. The Coursera worked with reputed universities in the world and also other organizations to offer online courses, certifications, and degrees in a variety of subjects such as engineering, data science, machine learning, mathematics, business, computer science, digital marketing, humanities, medicine, biology, social science, and others. So almost all applied branches of subjects, along with the conventional branches like literature, history, etc., etc. There are a large number of Coursera courses. Actually, more than 3,800 free courses are there in Coursera. It is absolutely free. More than 3,800 courses, they are free, right from certificate to the master's program. And these courses, anyone can enroll from any part of the world. And you can select appropriate schedules, appropriate time, etc. So now Coursera has announced the last date for joining these courses. It is September 30th, 2020. So more than 1 month is there for Coursera programs, and it is estimated that now there are 47 million users. 47 million people, I don't say students, million learners or aspirants of learning are enrolled in Coursera in 14 languages. The courses are offered in 14 languages, including English. So you can visit the website that I have given the website address. Every student hearing me, every faculty watching me now in this program, please visit this website today itself, Coursera.org. So you visit that website, you will get the details. Actually, many of the institutions in Kerala, they have already got the licenses for issuing or conducting Coursera programs. There are some institutions in, for example, in this part of Kerala also, some of the affiliated colleges, they have got the licenses or proper authentication for running the Coursera courses. So what is basically required is that if you want to join a Coursera program, you require an institutional email ID. That means, suppose you are a student of Holy Cross Institution, or a student of MIC College, or a student of, let us say, Safi College, etc. You should have an email ID with a domain of your institution. That is a basic condition. So, suppose your email ID may be in Gmail. That won't be helpful. So you should have an email ID with a domain name of your institution. That is a basic condition. And your institution will have a facility for watching your progress in doing the Coursera program. So I would request the management of the Holy Cross Institution, which has already got, I think, a domain email ID as teachers and students, to think of this, especially the students of your department, applied subject departments, fashion designing, hotel management, travel and tourism, business economics, etc. You can have a chance for enrolling your students in Coursera program of different type certificate courses, etc., which the students can do in, you can say, in convenient times in our sense. So this is required. This can be done by any institution. So this is an opportunity this COVID has given to us. Actually, even before COVID, it is available. But COVID has made it very popular. And not only that, the teachers, the faculty members, the faculty members, they have now a practice or a culture for doing a lot of webinars. So, for example, we have a large number of registrations. In another webinar which I attended last week, there were more than 350 participants, registered participants. So, faculty can attend this type of webinars, they can upgrade their skills, they can get certificates, and so on. So, please think of the Coursera program and how to enroll in that way. That is an opportunity that we are. And thirdly, the third important, the career and employment. This also. On the one side, I told you, with respect to careers, placement, internship, etc., we have problems. At the same time, the online learning is giving us some opportunities for online exposure to new trends in subjects. Because the new trends in the subject of study, this we are getting exposure by online. For example, the case of fashion design. The fashion designing, you get the latest trends in fashion designing in online. Or you can say in your subject, applied subjects like management subject also, you are getting a lot of online exposure for new subjects. So this will increase your skill, your capacity, etc. So that in the job market, you will have an edge over the others. Then the second one, there is a massive demand for teleconferencing solutions and LMS, learning management softwares. There's a massive demand is increasing. Yesterday, a person was telling me that everywhere there is an increase in the number of cameras, web cameras, and such electronic products, etc. That means the job potential is increasing. For example, the case of computer science. After this initial recession, there will be a demand for the students from computer science because for development of the learning management software. And also, the case of electronic industry again, there will be a demand for more people, highly skilled people in the electronic industry. So, that will increase the employment opportunities. Similarly, there will be a boost in the opportunities in medical, paramedical, and related sectors. No doubt about it. Especially the paramedical stream that is going to be in great demand. Because in COVID-19 period, we have seen how the medical and paramedical force, they are helping us, or actually they are shielding us from the COVID-19 by their selfless work. So they are the people who are in great demand actually. So there will be a sudden boost in the demand for these professions, medical profession, paramedical profession, and related sectors. And also the production of equipments, all these things. Think of a simple example. Sanitizers. We were unheard of sanitizers. Just 4 months back, nobody was using sanitizer. Face mask. Nobody was using face mask. Now, there is an ever-increasing demand for sanitizers. I think this face mask is going to stay with us as a part of our day-to-day dressing that way. So, sanitization also, because we are going to sanitize, because already everybody is using now sanitizers. In my handbag or in my laptop bag, they have a sanitizer with me. In car, we are keeping sanitizers. Everywhere we go, all the ladies, they are keeping a sanitizer bottle, a small bottle in their bag, dietary bag, something like that. So our priorities change. Our demand for commodities change. So opportunities are coming up. See, the last but not the least, there will be a great feeling, a great encouragement for the startup and joint. After COVID-19, I told you that many of the organizations, they have kept their offer letters, just abeyance, kept in abeyance. So what is the alternative for these young graduates? They can have startups and join. Day before yesterday, we have seen the performance of a startup from Kerala, Alappi. The national challenge, how they emerged as victorious and number one. and how they got a prize money of more than 1 crore rupees, a very big amount. And what they are going to do? They are going to produce, they are going to have a teleconferencing software of our own. It is let us say, Kerala, teleconference. Now we are using, for example, Zoom, we are using this method, this WebEx we are using, Google Meet we are using. Now this startup venture is a startup basically. This startup, they are now going to launch a new teleconferencing software. So my point is this, instead of going after the offer letters of companies, you try to have your own startups, young graduates. And also government is also planning several programs or several promotional measures for the startups. The new startup, it is seed money for doing research and also a tax holiday, complete tax exemption, tax holiday, and other important exemptions with respect to electricity, rent, tax, etc. for the startup and so on. So the computer science students, instead of just going for a job in a software company, 3 or 4 people join together, you can have a startup of your own IT company. So you become an employer, not an employee. The students of business management, you can think of a startup of your own, a management venture you can think of. It may be even management company, it may be a facilitator company, it may be a retail marketing company, whatever it may be, you can think of a startup. The fashion designing people, or hotel management people, or travel and tourism people, instead of going for employment elsewhere, you can think of your own joint ventures and your own startups. So COVID is giving us opportunities for that, especially the technology-based services and technology-based products can be offered in a better way, in a better platform by these startups. These opportunities the institutions can make up. I would suggest the institution heads who are attending this program to think of the way in which they can transform their career placement centers into the facilitation centers for students to have their joint ventures startups. Instead of teaching them theories, how you can form a startup, how you can have a joint venture. So this is a positive thing that COVID has brought amidst us. This is going to have a very positive impact on the employment, especially the educated employment in the country and Kerala also, because we are the largest exporter of manpower to other states as well as other countries. So we can find our own employment and we can be employers in that. So these are some of the important opportunities that we have because of COVID-19. I'm going to the last section, that is a strategy. We have some problems now. How we resolve these strategies? I will go to a very general discussion on the strategy for this. The third section. See, a multi-pronged strategy of crisis-sensitive educational planning is necessary to manage the crisis and build a resilient Indian education system in the long. This is an important thing. So we should have an educational plan, not only at the national level, state level, and at the institutional level. Usually we say the institutional development plan, IEP. This should be developed with some important factors into consideration. Number one, immediate measures are needed to ensure continuity of learning in higher education institutions. At any cost, we should ensure continuity of learning. Open source digital learning solutions and learning management software should be made available to all people at zero cost or no cost. Already we have seen the statistics regarding the lack of access to these things. So we should have the learning management softwares at a very low cost, if not at zero cost. The strategy for that is required. Number two, we should have increasing I would say, inclusive learning solutions, especially for the most vulnerable and marginalized people. This should be developed with a rapid increase of mobile internet users in India, which is expected to reach 85% outsourced by 2020. Technology is expected to be ubiquitous and personalized education, even in the remotest part of it. Because according to TRI's estimate, there is an increasing mobile penetration. So 85% of the Indian population will have access to mobile internet by 2024, it is estimated. So this technology is going to be ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means present everywhere, universal. So in that case, we should be able to personalize education, even the remotest part of it. So for that, a typical strategy is required, not only at the national level in the part of education, at the state level, at the university level, at the institutional level, at the teacher level, at the student level. We require all these answers. Second thing. Thirdly, we require strategies to prepare the higher education sector for the meeting demand-supply requirement globally, especially related to the global mobility of students and faculty and improving the quality of demand for higher studies. I told you that. Now the global mobility of the students is now disturbed at present. Because for 2 or 3 years it will be like that. That means there will be great demand for the supply of educational services domestically. Because we should have increased number of seats in education institutions. We require more institutions which offer quality education, quality higher education, quality on-job training to our students at a low cost. So for that, we require strategies and commitments. And fourthly, urgent measures are needed to nullify the effects of pandemic on job offers, then internship programs and research programs. So three things I would emphasize. One is the job offers, which already I mentioned. The companies, they have offered jobs, but they have kept in abeyance the offer letters. Then the internship offered the students, this also been suspended for the time being. And the research projects, the case of many institutions, the research projects are off. So we should have measures to nullify the pandemic effect on these important. Actually, they require a government intervention in this. The government intervention or at the university level intervention is because the students who have been offered offer letters by institutions, they should not keep the offer letters in abeyance for an uncertain period. The students should not have uncertainty. They must be informed of for how many months again they have to sit at home, waiting for the appointment order. Similarly, for internship, the problem with internship is I think, very ticklish because the case of internship, unless you complete internship, your course will not be completed. So in the case of nursing, paramedical, or in the case of medical or other internship, for example, in other practical subjects, etc., you require internship compulsorily to complete within a stipulated time. Unless you complete it, you will not be awarded degree by the university. In the case of internship, I would say there must be intervention by the government through the Kerala State Higher Education Council. As an important demand of this webinar, I would request or appeal the Kerala State Higher Education Council, which is advising the government of Kerala on important matters of higher education, to take steps or to devise strategies to nullify the effects of the pandemic on job offers, internship offers, and research projects of the students and faculty members. There must be some positive intervention from the government side or from the regulatory agency side. This webinar, I think the chair will agree, the management will agree, the principals will agree, the participants will agree. This webinar raise a demand. This is the demand. The government or the Kerala State Education Council or Education Department should intervene in this matter. The job offers given to the students, the company should honor it. They should not keep it, you can say, for continuously for uncertain period. Similarly, the internship, the students should be able to complete internship at least online so that their degrees are awarded. The research projects which are halfway, there must be institutional strategies for completing that. So that measures is required. Fourth one. Then fifth one, it is important to, I would say, reconsider the current delivery pedagogical method in higher education by integrating classroom learning with e-learning boards to build a unified, I would say, learning system. And it is important to establish quality assurance mechanism and quality benchmark for online learning or developed and offered by institutions as well as numerous e-learning platforms. So this problem I have been feeling from the very beginning of this pandemic and online education. Because what is the quality of the online teaching learning process? How you can ensure the quality of that? Number two, the issue is that we have several online learning platforms. What is this online learning platform? How they are making use? How they are exploiting the students or faculty? To what extent these online learning platforms are secure with respect to the privacy of students? So we should have adequate mechanism to protect the student, prioritize privacy, safely store the students' data. So when you are having an online program attended, what happens? All your email ID, telephone number, all these details are made available. Now, what is the security of these things? What is the privacy of these things? So when I am just delivering this to you, what is the security of the things that I talk to you? So this is important. Keeping the privacy and security of the students and faculty, not only the content, identity, several personal details, all these are very important. So we should have methods. Of course, the learning management software, they claim that this is safe, this is protected, etc. They used to say that. But if we are not aware of that, we don't know to what extent it is protected. Now, there was even a caution from the official sources that some of the online platforms are not so secure. Some of the online platforms that we are using are not so secure from security point of view. There was a caution from official sources. So online teaching, content-wise, methodology-wise, and transmission-wise, I would say, we must be able to keep the quality very much. For that, we should have strategies. So we have complaints from some principals in southern Kerala last week. Many parents and many students got emails and WhatsApp messages from the identity of the principal or some teachers, especially some female teachers. Some undesirable messages they got. A large number of students got the messages, parents also got messages from the identity of a teacher, a female teacher. Not so desirable message. So the identity is now hacked and anti-social elements, they're just breaking the cyber security. It's a cyber crime, we know. But the cyber security they are breaking, they are hacking it, they are doing all these things. So what is the security? What is the quality of online teaching? We should have a benchmark for that. So the academicians who hear me, those who are hearing me, watching me, please take care of this issue in your platforms, like board of studies, academic councils, etc. How you can benchmark the quality and security of the online teaching modules, online teaching softwares or platforms, etc. That is another important issue. Then, seventh one, coming to the last part of the presentation, we should ensure a design for responsible use and prevent addiction of technology. It's a problem that we confront now. The design of our learning management software, this should reduce the addiction of technology. So when you are transmitting your ideas to students, for example, YouTube, etc., what happens? For some time the student may be, or we are also watching the YouTube. After some time, we switch over to another content in the YouTube. So we are always prompted to search for some things which are not so undesirable, which should not be searched in the YouTube. So there is a kind of addiction to technology, to our students and teachers because of that. Then we should have adequate training for the faculty, because I mentioned in the beginning itself, for faculty training is very important for online teaching. The university should have it. I would say this also can be a demand of this webinar. The academic staff college or university should give some training to the faculty members, or at least a few organizations can think of giving training to faculty members for online teaching methods and so on. That way, adequate training is required. Then, along with technology, when you are using this transmission of knowledge through technological devices and online methods, we should ensure that ethical values are also transmitted or inculcated among our students. We should integrate value-based education with the e-learning also. Actually, in the offline mode, in our classroom teaching, this value-based education is already integrated. How is that? The teacher is having a face-to-face interaction. The students are having a peer group interaction in the class. So the students get opportunities to mingle with the students of opposite sex, to coexist with different students coming from different social backgrounds, different family backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, and the greatest experience actually, the greatest enrichment of campus life is actually this type of a co-education and the peer group learning that they get. More than what they get from the classroom, I would say our students get from outside the class also. How to coexist, how to be tolerant, how to be very appropriate, how to be responsible, how to be honest, how to be sincere, how to be faithful. All these are learned by our students in the classrooms. Not that teachers are directly teaching them. The very process of teaching itself is integrated with that. Whether you are teaching commerce or economics or fashion designing or hotel management, the teacher is transmitting all these cultures into the students. But in technology-based, technology-oriented learning, we don't get a chance for that. So sister was telling it in the beginning. So how you can transmit these things, value-based education along with the e-learning, this is very important. I used to use the term collegiality. Collegiality is a great experience, which you will never get in any e-learning. Collegiality is the sum total of the experiences that you have from the college campus. Maybe positive things, maybe negative things. Right from your manager, principal, your teachers, your office staff, your friends, your students, all these people are influencing our students. The collegiality experience. So this collegiality experience for 3 years for a graduate student, for 2 years for a postgraduate student, it is very, very important. So I would say every institution should think of the way in which they can integrate some value education into the process. And the last but not the least, we should have adequate development of a regulatory framework for online education with well-defined protocols of online teaching. Now what is happening? Everyone can just enroll online classes, online courses. That is attraction of the online classes. But we should have a regulatory framework which would have definite protocols of online education, well-developed settings for that, norms for that, online teaching learning process, what to do, what not to do. This should be the learning process. It should be integrated. So this is also government intervention. The last part of my presentation. So these are the important resolutions or important suggestions that I would make. So altogether, I would say we can hope that the higher education sector will withstand this turbulent time. As I mentioned in the beginning, we shall overcome. We used to sing that song. We shall overcome in our NSS programs. In a digital age, universities and colleges can make the challenges of COVID-19 to opportunities for increasing quality, access, and equity. So this COVID-19 pandemic, we can make use of it as an opportunity for increasing the quality, access, and we should think of the measures for that. And here we are looking with great hope at the regulatory bodies like UGC or government or MHRD or universities, etc., to lead the mantle and lead the higher education institutions to achieve these goals. In new education policy also, I will mention new education policy also 2020 also, there are several measures for fostering online learning and so on. So with these words, I conclude. I thank you for watching. I thank you, the organizers, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for your patient watching. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for providing such a beautiful explanation about the topic. Thank you. Now I request the participants that the platform is open for interactions. You can ask the questions. Please feel free yourself to ask a question, unmute yourself and ask a question, or else you can put the questions in the chat box. The platform is open for question and answer session. Those who have any clarifications to be made can be done so.
Now it is already 12:25.
Right, sir. So I suppose there are no clarifications or no questions or queries from the participants, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, we have a small official vote of thanks. I request Sharan P of 3rd BA Economics to come forward and deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, Sharan.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Sharan. I'm 3rd year BA Economics student at Holy Cross College. Here our webinar has reached its final section, organized by PG Department of Business Economics, Holy Cross College. So first I would like to say a big thanks to our honorable chief guest, key resource person, Dr. Usman, principal of MIC Arts and Science College and consultant in higher education and research. Thank you, sir. This section is very interesting and helpful to understand about opportunities and challenges in higher education institutions. And I think it's useful for everyone who participated in this webinar. Next, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Sister Shiny George, And I like to express my gratitude to our manager, Sister Lindsay Cherian, for felicitating the participants. Thank you, sister. Like to thank Sister Ramya for welcome speech. My special thanks go to our webinar coordinator, Ms. Archana Kamath, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Economics, and thanks to all the faculty members of the department. I would also like to thank Mr. Rohit to make the brochures for this webinar. And finally, thanks to office staffs for providing technical assistance, and thanks to all the active participants. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching me. And sister, I could not acknowledge you, principal sister. You are online. Sister, okay, thank you, sister. Thank you, everybody, for the patient listening. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. One important note to be made for the participants is the link for the feedback form will be collected and that will remain open for the next half an hour only. This is the link which is used for providing your e-certificate. So kindly make sure that you submit your forms within time. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all participants.